Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to get this nice clean foundation look. This is great for people with acne prone skin. So I already prepped my skin with moisturizer and then also my misting toner, and then I also kind of like pre-highlight it with Becca's liquid highlighter. Right now I'm just going to start with my foundation. What I like to do is just squirt the foundation on my hand and then just pat it around my face in little dots. This just helps it have even coverage everywhere and not like a glob of foundation just in one spot. I personally like doing this, but you can just squirt it in one spot if you like. It's all up to you. Next, I like to take a nice like fluffy buffing brush and just pat my foundation all over my face. If you have dry skin, you know, like with dry patches, you can't really do too much of like a buffing motion, but patting helps. That's why it's good to have nice moisturized skin when you start your foundation. And the key to having a flawless foundation that looks airbrushed is blending. You're going to see me just blend, like unnecessary blending sometimes, but it honestly helps. And if you're wearing a headscarf like me, make sure you push that back just so that there's not that awkward line. I get that a lot of times when I wear my headscarves. And you want to blend that down to your neck just so it blends seamlessly. That's why you want to match your foundation to your neck. My foundation is a little bit light right now just because I have been tanning this summer. So yeah. And then if you had any other like imperfections that are peeking through your foundation, go ahead and grab that concealer and just put it anywhere you need more coverage. For me, it's always around my lips. A lot of times women of color have that extra like discoloration around their lips, which is absolutely fine. Nothing a little bit of concealer can't help. So right now I am mixing 2 concealers to put underneath my eyes. All products that I use will be listed below, so don't worry. This is just me talking about nothing important really. But when I like to apply my foundation, well, not my foundation, but my concealer underneath my eyes, I like to do it in a triangular like shape, but I like to have majority of my concealer in the inner portion of my eyes just because that's where I have most of my darkness. And then if you go up too much concealer, especially just starting off, if you put too much concealer towards the end of your eye, it's just gonna make it blend basically into your hair and it's going to have too much product. And also when you're applying that concealer, make sure you don't go further past your nostrils because you don't want to highlight that portion of your face. And then for me, sometimes I use a sponge to blend out my under eye concealer. Sometimes I use like a fluffy brush like this one. It really all depends on what tools are clean that day, and then also just my preference for that day too. So for today I like to use like this, I believe it's a contouring brush by Real Techniques, but it's really nice and fluffy and it just gets my concealer nice and airbrushed, but I still have that coverage as you can see. But if you're worried about getting like the bristles of the brush into your eye when you try to get close to the inner portion of your eye, just use a sponge for that as well too. Because sometimes even if I use a sponge, I like to go back in with a brush just to get that very, the part that's closest to like my foundation, like my cheeks. I like to get that nice and kind of blended out because you don't want any harsh lines. I'm telling you guys, blending is key. Most, makeup artists or people you see here on YouTube that have like amazing foundation, amazing foundation routines, they are blending. That is the key to everything. And I was just showing you guys there that I used the end portion of that the side of that brush that doesn't have most of the concealer on there, and I just use that to buff out the end portion of my concealer. Then right now I just highlight on my nose, on the top of my lip. I don't highlight my chin just because it kind of stand out on its own. So I like to skip that portion. And I also don't highlight my forehead because I've just never really liked forehead highlighting. But lately I've been doing that. And that's the thing, like foundation routines change depending on the season, depending on new techniques you've learned. So you don't have to live by one routine. You have to do, what's best for your makeup and the application. And I don't know if you've seen there, I took the beauty blender to kind of blend out the highlight in my nose because I don't like that to be too highlighted. I don't like my nose to be too like highlighted or contoured. I like it pretty like simple. Sometimes I do go overboard and I have to like correct it, but it's okay. So now I'm going in with a translucent powder. Like I said, products will be listed below because I think I only have one, and it's the Laura Mercier's translucent powder. And I just like to pack that on. I do not bake just because I have really dry skin, and underneath my eyes, it just looks horrible when I bake. It looks really cakey and just dry. So I just put enough as I need, as much as I need underneath, and just go from there. And then sometimes I'll put that translucent powder in the middle of my forehead, kind of in my T-zone areas, because I do get oily towards the summer just because it's hot, Look at all these hand gestures I'm making. I had just did my nails and I just thought I was just like the baddest thing on earth, which I am, but I was going out of control with all the hand movements. So right now I'm in a contour. I'm using a cream contour, and this is another thing that changed based upon like how my skin is doing that day. A lot of times if my skin is super dry, I'm not even gonna like add any powder to contour with because it's just gonna make me look really cakey and horrible. So today I use the cream contour, and I just like to put this all over my forehead and then also on my cheeks. And you can just do like that little fishy face to find like where your cheekbones are, where you're supposed to contour. And then you can also just go from the top of your ear and just follow that line down. I like to just put my contour on my cheeks just at that very top portion. I don't blend it down until I start actually blending, and this helps me not get too much product and not have too much of a harsh contour. So if you're a beginner, this technique will work amazing for you because you're in control of the product that's on your face, and you don't have to worry about blending out so much. I do not know how people like can pack on contour and highlight and stuff like that and still blend it out to like a seamless thing. I can't do that yet, so I'm still learning with you guys, but so I think less is more, especially for contouring. And I use a stippling brush to contour with just because I feel like I have more control with that one. It's nice and dense, and it also just blends out the cream very, very well. You can also use a beauty blender or any type of makeup sponge to do this, but I feel like I have more control with brushes. And then I'm just gonna go in and try to contour this extra chin I didn't gain. But this step is optional. You don't have to contour underneath like your chin or anything like that. I just personally like to do it just to kind of get my face like a nice slimmer look. and blend, 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 honey. Like, this is key. This is key. And if you feel like you use too much, like I did, I like to use my sponge. The sponge definitely helps with taking away excess product just because it soaks up majority of the product. And then also too, I'm kind of moving ahead of myself here, but if you feel like you've contoured too much, you can always set that contour with your face powder, and not the translucent powder, but one that has like the color of your skin tone, and that'll help kind of calm down that harsh contour. And this is me contouring my nose. I just do like a straight line, kind of following the natural curves of my face, of my eyes. So I like to do that. And I also contour like the side of my nose. And then, I don't know, like the pointy part. And then I'm just taking a dense brush, like fluffy brush, and just blending that out. And as you can see, I'm blending it into like the crease of my eyes, just because it helps make it nice and seamless. And just like if you were to over contour your face, if you over contour your nose, you can do those same steps using that beauty blender just to kind of wipe off the excess, and also setting that contour with your foundation powder. And then what I like to do is just sometimes I add like a little bit of extra of that translucent powder that I set my under eyes with, and I'll bring that contour up towards like the highlight up towards my nose, as you can see what I'm doing here. So if you guys can hear the rain and the cars coming by, I don't know, I feel like I'm vibing to it, you know, and it's helping me do this voiceover. Yeah, and you're just gonna blend, you know, check all angles, because you can be looking good from head, like straight on, and then you turn and you're like, dang, I didn't know my contour was that tough. Like, what's going on? So just check all the angles. Even like where you're doing your makeup at definitely counts. I like to do my makeup in natural sunlighting if I can, and I like that lighting to be like right in front of me, because it just gives you realistic, you know, real life, this is how your makeup's gonna look when you step outside. So right here, I'm just taking, I believe this is like my MAC Studio Finish powder or something like that. And I'm going to take that and put that all over my face. And then I'm going to use my blush. And I like to smile, like just a little bit, not super hard, just enough to kind of get my cheeks peeking. And I just like to pat that on a little bit on my cheeks and just blend it up. Less is more with blush, to be honest, because it can turn everything really, really bad. And if you add it too much, just take that foundation powder and just kind of wipe some of that off. And then right now for highlighter, I use a bit of everything. Like, I'll mix like 3 highlighters in just to get that perfect shade, but it all depends on you and what you're looking for and how you want your highlight to look that day. And then I like to use a really fluffy brush. This one actually, I believe, is like a fluffy brush for your like eyeshadow, but it's too big for my eyes. My eyes are pretty small, but it was perfect for my highlighter, so I'm just adding that on there. And I like to put it on my nose, right at the tip of my nose and right at the bridge of my nose, and then just connect those two there. And then I just like to spray on my setting spray. This helps kind of eliminate some of that like powdery
this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. And it also, this is nice, super simple. The only thing, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will See you guys.